Hey, thanks for the 5 months, Steven. I appreciate that. Welcome back. All right. Today, we're going to kick things off by attempting to bring a little Pioneer to our historic. So, Underworld Breach is a card that's recently taken Pioneer by storm. This card says, each non-land card in your graveyard has escape. The escape cost is its converted mana cost equal to exile it plus exiling 3 other cards from your graveyard. And what this deck is trying to do is very similar to Kisa's combo. We use Diligent Excavator combined with Mox Amber or Emry, Lurker of the Loch, to flip our deck over with Underworld Breach, recasting these things from our graveyard again and again and again. And then eventually you play Thassa's Oracle and win the game with Thassa's Oracle. This deck also has a fair backup plan of just casting Uro from the discard pile after we flip it over with some other friends. We've got Tamiyo to pick key cards back up out of our discard pile as well as find them out of our deck. So let's go ahead and hop on into a historic event with this one and see how it goes. What happens if we mill Oracle while going off? Well, Underworld Breach lets you recast it with Escape, Rexbox. So this gives you all of your cards. Yeah, it's not Past in Flames. It's more similar to Yogg-Will. So you just need to make sure you don't exile your Oracle. It's fine if you mill it. Hey, happy boys. Thanks for the quarter of a year. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Quarter Voss, thank you for the half a year. Morning, folks. I feel like this is probably a mulligan. What do we think? I'm on the play, so like maybe the fact that I'm on the play means it could be passable. Let's play catch and release. Sure. Oh gosh. Underworld Breach on this application is probably pretty obnoxious, huh? Just like fills the bottom right up, almost assuredly. Some zomboys and girls on their side of the board, it looks like. Mister's out. Thanks for the half a year support. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. This is a phenomenal draw. Tamiyo will allow us to fill the bin up to eventually recast Uro here. Your hand becomes obnoxiously big and finicky. Sounds about right. Thanks, Son of Some. Easy, no blocks here. Crypt Breaker and Midnight Reaper both sitting here drawing them a bunch of cards. We'll play Tamiyo to start. I think I just named Underworld Breach with her, right? We're just looking to fill the bin up. I suppose I could name Emry, because if I find Emry, I get to cast her. I'm gonna name Emry, actually. Swish. Swish. Easy game, easy life. I think if I didn't have the Mox there, I'd name Underworld Breach. But because I have the Mox and I can cast the Emry, I think it's worth just doing that. So this gives -2/-2, equal number of cards and all things. It does look like, folks at home, can you double check? But I believe Deckmaster now has Theros cards in it. The person who maintains the project finally got around to doing that. Mazas, thanks for the 5 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Now we're gonna name Underworld Breach for sure. Skip Uro to start. Good stuff. Oh, right. This is a video game now. There's sound effects. Sound effects. Yeah, I'm still planning to... A couple of different subs have said they've started poking at the code base to try different things. So I think we're still gonna put up some kind of fork that's maintained by someone who can be responsive. So that way we can have cards updated day one moving forward. So not a huge rush to put the fork up now, since actual Deckmaster got updated. And also, I'd also like whatever it is to, like, have the integrations that, like, allow it to build on Linux be integrated. Because, like, when the person put together the Linux build for me, the person who maintained Deckmaster didn't accept their request to mainstream them. Name the fork Decklandia. That actually sounds perfect. Does it though? Maybe it doesn't. I kind of want whatever we name the fork to be more descriptive. Because, like, the fact that it's called Deckmaster really sucks. People often think that Deckmaster is the Stream Decker because Deckmaster isn't descriptive, really, right? Like, I feel like it needs to be called something that, like, describes what it actually does better. All right, do we win? Yeah, we don't have an excavator yet. I could hit one though, right? One, two, three. Oh, I guess the second Emry is actually pretty good, huh? Oh, I should have left more blue mana available. So I'm looking for that. We should win this turn now, right? Now I get to play Excavator. Delve some things. Yeah, second Excavator's lethal. Because now, casting a Mox requires me to exile 3 cards. But casting the Mox, mills 4. So we get to deck ourselves here and then cast Thassa's Oracle. Yeah, I need to float mana. So this is very similar to how the Pioneer deck works that did really well at the event this weekend. It doesn't use Moxes to deck itself, but it does mill itself and then cast Thassa's Oracle with Underworld Breach while its deck is empty. And this is just another good example of all non-rotating formats, if they're not managed via a ban list, they devolve into obnoxious linear combos. That's just how they work. As card pools get bigger and there's more combinations of cards, the formats get more and more obnoxious, which is why I think it's key that they get managed. There's 1 card in my deck, so we can go ahead and cast Thassa's Oracle here. I mean, this had to be what they wanted when they printed Breach, right? Like, there's no other option. Alright, so they're a zombies deck. I'm gonna bring in Lava Coil and Storm's Wrath for now. That was us winning the game. There's no fancy animation when you win with this card. This feels so much worse. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. What do I want to trim here? I have no idea how to sideboard. I feel like I want these 7 interactive cards against their aggro deck. Is it like Fblthp? He's probably filler, right? Maybe some Witching Wells as well. Would I rather have Witching Well or Opt? I'd probably rather have Opt, right? I'm gonna trim an Uro. I could trim a Tamiyo. Sure, let's trim a Tamiyo. Hey, thanks for the biddies, Cajun guy. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Yeah, maybe I'm supposed to board in a couple of Return to Natures in the dark. I don't know how much Graveyard Hate people are playing in this format. I think if I'm up a game, I'm just going to be greedy and assume they're not going to have Graveyard Hate and just, like, hope to dodge. Huh? I don't really know what I want to bottom here. All of our cards are pretty good. Is it crazy to bottom Breach and, like, hope to just find one of those later? Yeah, do we need the Breach? I think it's Breach, right? Pioneer was lots of fun. I really enjoyed myself. It's an interesting and engaging format that's fun to play. Lots of combos everywhere is great. My name is Matthewy. Thank you for the entire year of support. Let's get your sword to go with that shield. Speaking of fighting the good fight, New Hampshire primaries tomorrow, right? And just to double check, the New Hampshire primary is normal voting, right? There's no caucus nonsense tomorrow. Thank goodness, huh? If they don't ban something in Pioneer today, the format is incredibly similar to what Modern became. So it's kind of an interesting line in the sand, in my opinion, for what do they want the format to look like. Thanks for the third of a year. It's awkward. Life is wonderful. Thanks for keeping me around. All right, I'm gonna shock this in. Cast Emry, then Uro. Yeah, that works, right? Yeah. So the way this hand's worked out, I'm kind of sad we bottomed the breach. Because if we had breach, they'd be dead next turn, right? I'd have to shock in the land off of Uro that way, and the 2 points of life is more valuable than keeping a Mox Amber in my hand. I think there are, I think there's a chance they change nothing in Pioneer today, because I think there are a number of people who like their formats being linear decks racing each other. That's the truth. Like, that's a type of Magic that appeals to a certain type of player. And I'm hoping that because that's what they let Modern be, they're not going to also let Pioneer be that. But there's a chance that they do. Yeah, they could just play Modern, but it's important to remember that if you don't like formats like Pioneer has turned into, there are people that do. So, the inverter deck and the difficulty with which it is to interact with it makes it not okay. If Inverter was like Splinter Twin in that it could never combo through a piece of creature removal, I think it would be fine. But the fact that discard spells often aren't good enough against it, and you can't just have a removal spell, means it's too difficult to interact with and not reasonable to keep in the format. Well, that's an easy keep on top of the deck, right? We just planned Storm's Wrath them next turn, and then win the game with Uro. I also think a big difference when comparing Splinter Twin with this new combo deck is that Splinter Twin was playing blue reactive interaction, and the Inverter combo gets to play Thoughtseize, which is the best piece of interaction in the format on color. I think that also changes the power level dynamic of what's going on there. Yeah, and Thoughtseize isn't great disruption against Inverter unless you're taking exactly Inverter. If you Thoughtseize them, you can't take Oracle or Jace. They just get to shuffle them back into their deck. Omega King, thank you for the 4 months. I appreciate the third of the year. Welcome back. Is it possible to loop without Mox Amber? It is not unless you have a lot of mana. If you have a lot of blue mana, you can theoretically loop Emrys, but it requires blue mana to mill for. I disagree. I think only banning Dig would be an incredible mistake. And if you think Dig is the problem with the Inverter deck, I would implore you to please go watch the blue-black Inverter Devotion deck that we played on stream last week. It is very, very good. It top-8'd one of the PTs 2 weekends ago, and it does not play Dig Through Time. If they want to ban something other than Inverter of Truth, they should ban Thassa's Oracle. If you ban Thassa's Oracle, in order for that deck to combo, they have to keep a Planeswalker in play, which while Planeswalkers are difficult to interact with than compared to creatures, they are at least something that you can kill in response in order to not get comboed. Second land sounds great. We are very splashy. You are not wrong. Fourth land? Thassa's Oracle is a card that will just get broken over and over again if they leave it around. Yeah, I think that's very, very true. Can Inverter win through Unmoored Ego on Inverter? Yeah. In fact, if you go on my Twitter, there's a... No, I guess they had Inverted already. 1, they can play Inverter in advance. And 2, all of the good Inverter decks are diversifying their threats post-board. Also, this idea that, like, just because there's something that stops it makes it okay, I think is super nonsense. It's something that you hear, it's a mindset that you hear parroted a lot. Wow, super punished for my tapping. That's unfortunate. Yikes. Loose. I am a loose goose, chat. I am a loose goose. Nothing but the fastest and the loosest. Now, I think decks like Lotus Breach are also obnoxious. Alright, so our opponent has died. The game is over. This deck's probably not okay in this format either. There's a good chance this deck's not okay in this format either. So they're deterministically dead. So I get to play this other Diligent Excavator out. There's also just like a Diligent Excavator in my bin here too. So I get to do this. And now every Mox costs 3 cards to escape, but puts 4 cards into my bin. And then the Moxes make some mana. And then eventually we flip our entire deck into the bin and we cast Thassa's Oracle. Is this deck better than Kisa's combo? It's a better linear deck. It's better in terms of ignoring your opponent and killing them. And again, I think this is just a good example of, there's a lot of people surrounding the ban list discussion for Pioneer who act like you just should never ban things if there's an alternative. And all non-rotating formats are destined to become linear combo clusters if they're not managed via a ban list. That's just the reality of it. As more combinations of cards get printed into formats, regardless of where that card pool starts, there's gonna be tons of combo decks that are gonna exist. People take bans as a failure state, and that's a flawed, but that's a great way to put it. I do not think it is a failure of R&D if they ban things in non-rotating formats. It's not feasible to test things in these formats. And also, even if it was feasible to test things, having to not print sweet things into standard because they might break an older format is silly. Like, take Heliod as an example. Heliod is a really awesome card in Standard that happened to create a combo in a non-rotating format. Was that turn 4 with the missed land drop? I think you're right that it was. Alright, do I again just board these in? I feel like I again just board these in. Like, cut Fblthp. What did I do last time? I cut Fblthp and I cut a couple of Witching Wells. It's probably fine. How was Pioneer this morning? Absolute dumpster fire. Our cute mid-range control deck just got chewed up and spit out. Or we chewed up and spit out by Inverter, Black Aggro, and something else I don't recall at this point. I'm gonna just go land go for now. I don't think I want to plan another Excavator, because if they deploy another threat or two, I want a Storm's Wrath, I think. Well, Diligent Excavator is one of our combo pieces, so taking Excavator off the table seems like a good play on our opponent's part. In my opinion, in a perfect format, in a perfect world, Thoughtseize would not be necessary and would be banned. In my opinion, and I put the "in my opinion" on there because even though this is very clearly an opinion, this is an internet and people are going to get upset by it and argue like I'm trying to say it's a fact. In my opinion, I think Pioneer, if 2-mana discard were appropriately paced disruption, it would be ideal. I think in a world where Agonizing Remorse and Thought Erasure exist, I would rather have those be the pieces that we play. I think I'm actually just going to pick up Storm's Wrath here. Just do that. Oh no, that kills Tamiyo. God, this card's bad. And by that I mean it's fine, but I'm dumb. Whoopsie poopsie. Alright, so should have played Mox and floated mana so I could opt there first. Alright, learning curve, chat. Learning curve. Does damages planeswalkers. Nothing but professionalism here. If there is a ban list update, usually it happens 30 minutes from now. That being said, ban list updates that happen 30 minutes from now, that was the norm when we had them scheduled in advance. So the fact that they're not scheduled in advance might change that. Look at that. Almost done with our blue mastery tree. Working towards that pretty... Ooh, Thassa's Intervention. That one's super playable. Kill my own walker by mistake. Still win the game. I don't know, Lord Aaron. Someone else had said to me that someone else had said over the weekend that they think they need to take time to digest it. And in my opinion, if Wizards doesn't make bans today, but they make bans a week from now or 2 weeks from now, then there really wasn't a point in them getting rid of scheduled ban list updates. Because I thought the whole point of it was we don't have to sit and stew and be miserable for weeks on end. Inverter won the PT, right? I believe Burkhart was playing Inverter, if I recall correctly. I already have double green. I do want a 4th land, though. I also would not be surprised if they did nothing today. But again, would just like to make it clear that I think doing nothing is a colossal mistake. And defeats the purpose of them getting rid of scheduled updates. We've not finished Game of Thrones. We watched episode 2 last night of season 8. Yesterday was Jake's 6th birthday, so we had some people over to have cake and stuff for him. And there's an Underworld Breach in our bin here, right? So if we can find some Mox Ambers, we're going to be in a pretty good spot. Yeah, the episode that we just finished was them getting ready for the fight at Winterfell. I think I just get my breach back here. Are they ignoring my Planeswalker? Oh, chat, don't tell Scotty, chat. Scotty doesn't know. Scotty doesn't know that they're about to die. Do 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 do. You're in danger.
Let me aid your research.
All right, with the other Tamiyo in hand, I just YOLO this, right? Pretty sure we just YOLO it. I just play Emry here, right? Target Witching Well, just in case for later. This gives me 6 mils to find another Mox. Okay, so we failed to combo there because there weren't 2 Mox in the top 40 cards of our deck. But we're not dead in combat here, right? And all of these are attacking me. So I get to go like block here, take 9, pick my thing back up and kill them next turn. So I still have a land drop from my hand, right? So I can pay 2 here. I can play this Excavator, and then I can play an Emry for 1. And then Emry gets 8 looks at the next Mox here. And if this finds a Mox, we win the game. Okay. We were incredibly unlucky this game and still pulled it out. Like the statistics and how deep our Moxes were. And like, for those of you that haven't been following Pioneer, this deck is less linearly powerful than the Breach deck that's been going around in Pioneer. This is like a light version of it for Historic. Same base idea, though. If you have Kisa's combo, you probably have the cards for this. All right, I'm gonna board like we did. We boarded the same way all these games so far. Fblthp out, and Emry out, a couple of Witching Wells out, I think is the plan. Bring in Coil and Storm's Wrath to be a little interactive. Yeah, nice life total. Was it a submission or a builder? On this one, was a submission. If you're not in the subs Discord, this is one of the many wonderful decks that have come out of there. A number of players have been working on this archetype in the historic channel in the subscriber Discord server. How would you board against this if you're playing blue-white control? So in the upper right-hand corner, if you click here, you get this red button. It's probably a good out to playing against this. I'm gonna kill the Ascendant before it flips the Legion's Landing here. I don't, in all seriousness, I don't know. Like, you just have to have a bunch of counter spells and hope to not die to Uro, I guess. You just, like, have to keep Breach off the table at all costs. Heliod's Intervention's a card that's, like, reasonable because it can kill them. If you take Breach off the table, they can't full combo you. So that would be the goal. Have all of your cards that let you keep Breach off the table. Yeah, decks that have pressure plus a way to disrupt Breach are probably fine against this. Although Storm's Wrath's a heck of a drug. We've played against 3 aggressive decks so far, and this card's just coming out of the board and just destroyed them every time. I'm not playing out Thassa's Oracle because I don't want to get it baffling ended in this matchup. I think I'm in for another Storm's Wrath here, honestly. I'm gonna keep the other Uro just in case they have an exile for this first one. So we get to go on the Uro attack and generate value plan at this point. Definitely think we're in garbage time at this point. Sure. Back up, Tamiyo sounds great. I mean, they're very clearly not already dead, huh? Looking for Diligent Excavator here so we can combo them.
I know I noticed somewhere.
All right, I've got 8 mana up here. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and pass. And then at the end of their turn, we'll draw 4. And then we'll hopefully kill them next turn. Comboing them will be tough. Nah, it's not going to be a big deal. There's only 26 cards in my deck. Nah, Inverter's only like 1 in every 5 or 6 matches. It's not that common. The thing you have to understand about formats like Pioneer is that formats like Pioneer, even when there's one deck that's much better than everything else, or a couple of decks, they're not every match because there's a lot of more casual players that play those formats that are just looking to have a good time. So, like, you can still find some okay games. Alright, so we're just looking for some Moxen at this point. Get a lot of looks at them here. There's one. I believe the one Mox is deterministic. Second Mox definitely is. So, fun fact, and this is something to do with inexperience. Had I started by escaping a second Underworld Breach, we win the game there, right? So my first play after playing this breach should be to escape the second one. That's the line. It's good to note. So, like, I don't kill them this turn, but, like, they're still not winning the game, right? Does Opt into Oracle win? There are only 9 cards in my deck. That's funny. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I only have, oh, those is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 devotion. Oh, 8, 9? Yeah, you're right. You're totally right. That's really funny. Oh, look, there's another breach on top of my deck. All right, now I'm going to do this for the rub-ins. Definitely got a style on him. Nice disenchant. Oh, Uro's not 2 devotion, is he? It doesn't matter. I'm glad we played this on stream because, like, things that are almost assuredly not okay. This is certainly pod racing. The worrying part about this is, like, we might get a Pioneer update. I feel like there's a very small chance that they actually address this deck in Historic, because they really don't care about Historic. We could have Tamiyo'd, picked it back up, and replayed it, because Uro could have attacked and put a land into play. That's a good catch, too. Lol. It was real bad, Stingy. We almost won a match against Black Aggro, but we kind of just got run over otherwise. I don't think I'm going to be taking cute mid-range control decks like that anymore unless they ban some stuff in Pioneer. They're just not competitive. Is mid-range competitive in any format right now? I think the red-black Titan deck in Standard is fine. I haven't played with it enough to know if it's super good, because I don't really have any competitive Standard to be playing, but we might just get run down here. Opponent's start is super strong. That's true. The Sultai Delirium deck's competitive in... The Sultai Delirium deck is competitive in what's it called? Does this make me not dead on board? I have 2 blocks. I think I'm not dead on board. Yeah, I can go block, and take 6. Dead to a removal spell though, for sure. Dead to a stiff breeze, not that on board. So we go chump, eat, take 6 down to 2. No attacks. No attacks, you say? Deal Areno. Well, I don't know that it's really going to matter much for us here. Theros was a well-designed set. I liked Theros as a set a lot. Hey, Wabwin, thank you for the 2 years of support. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. All right, I mean, Underworld Breach at any point is lethal, right? Unfortunately, we've already gone through 2 of them. Is it lethal? Not quite. Got 1 excavator there. A couple of bad apples spoil a bunch? No, I don't think so at all. In fact, I think from a standard format perspective, the set was a large success. Okay, and there's a witching well. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 mana. So I can play Witching Well, scry, sack Witching Well, draw 2. So if this finds an Underworld Breach, we might be okay. We might be able to go here. So I'm going to mill 2, and then I get 4 looks at a Witching Well. So we want Breach to not be our next 2 cards, but if it's in the 4 cards under that, we could win the game from here. That's true. Uro attack gives us another look too. We get 5 looks. There's only 5 looks at 2 breaches though. We got 29 cards. Does Witching Well. So I'm definitely bottoming that. If I have 1, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 mana. I think I keep this, right? Because I can attack with the Uro here and draw it and then scry. I think that's the play. We leave that there. Morning, Viking. Thanks for the 10 months. Well, I don't guarantee to have another land to put into place. This is not necessarily ramping me because I don't have another land to ramp into. Maybe these could draw lands though. Breach, please. Whee! Completely fine. Nothing to see here, folks. Deck fair and reasonable. Smoke if you got him, etc., etc. All right, so you need to get the second excavator into play to combo, but remember, the second excavator can be in your discard pile because Breach lets you put it into play. So like, this deck, if your graveyard is full, this deck is basically a 1-card combo because you just cast Breach and then you play all the other combo pieces from your discard pile. So we're deterministic to kill them from here. Mox costs 3 cards to escape and mills 4 cards when we cast it. So we're going to get to flip our deck into our bin and then eventually cast Oracle and be on our way. Just got to make sure not to delve the Thassa's Oracle. How'd Pioneer go? Complete smoldering dumpster fire. You should be playing a Pioneer, you should be playing a disruptive, aggressive deck, or you should be playing a combo deck. Disruptive. There are good disruptive, aggressive decks that can keep up with the combo decks. We actually played a Merfolk deck on Saturday night that was quite good. But the era of playing mid-range red decks in Pioneer is over. If they don't change something. Yeah, if there are no bans made in Pioneer, Pioneer has essentially become Modern Light. I disagree, Polly. I think that's nonsense bullshit. I think what Magic Online is in no way dictates what formats are. I think all formats, as they get deeper card pools, will become more linear if the format's not managed. As more cards are printed, formats get more and more combos in them. That's just how they work. Hey, BSQR, thanks for the 5 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. It's so tough, Polly. You gotta use that Kappa emote with jokes on Twitch. And hey, look, there's Thassa's Oracle. Cast my Thassa's Oracle, win the game. That's a good time. Good time. And again, this build of this deck is slower and worse than the build that gets played in Pioneer. Similar idea, though. Use Underworld Breach, flip your deck into your bin, win with Thassa's Oracle. Yeah, the lack of a animation for the alternate win condition cards is real bad. Hand's okay. Needs another red source, ideally. It's a good pickup. To be fair, you definitely should craft Mox Ambers for this deck, because like if they ban this deck, you're gonna get your Mox Amber wild cards back, right? So it's like kind of a free roll. It's probably a free roll, right? Like, if you're gonna play this deck, Mox Amber is probably what gets banned. Oh, yeah, I guess that's true. We don't ban cards here, right? We just suspend them. All right, yeah, I take it back. I take it back. They suspend them so they explicitly don't have to give you wild cards, right? Forgot about that bad joke. Hey, look, chat, there's an Underworld Breach. I'm gonna play Tamiyo and pick that up next turn. Isn't there enough graveyard hate in the meta to adapt to this? So, here's an opinion that I'm gonna give that applies to Pioneer as well. Cards like Leyline and Rest in Peace and Grafdigger's Cage, these cards should be safety valves. They should be cards that allow the format to not be a total smoldering dumpster fire while you're waiting for it to be fixed. They should not be viewed as a replacement for properly managing the format. Games of Magic that come down to, did my opponent draw their sideboard card, and did I draw my card that destroys their sideboard card, suck. They're the worst games of Magic possible. So again, I feel like there's a lot of people out there who are like, well, this deck doesn't have a 65% win rate, so it's fine, don't ban anything out of it. I think those people are silly. I think just because you can beat something by putting a bunch of cards in your sideboard doesn't mean it's good gameplay and what you should be doing. We totally just YOLO this turn, right? I could just Uro too. I can Uro and float mana in response with this. The problem with Uroing is if I miss, I don't have a legendary in play to make mana with Mox Amber. Oh, I can escape Uro from the yard for 3. Oh, that's dumb. Oh, that's... Yeah, that's definitely how that works. And it was escaped, so it stays in play. Love me some discount Uro. Scry me a river, baby. Looking for that sweet, sweet second Mox Amber here. Got 4 shots at a second Mox Amber to win the game. Swing and a miss. Swing and a miss. Then we'll just go bottoms here, I think. And pass back. Just like, Breach is gone, but opponent can't beat Uro, right? And I've got removal spells in my hand. Alright. Let's see if we can hit the Hawaii 5-0, huh? What's the cost of adding this into Pioneer? I'm not taking it in Pioneer. I would take the good Lotus Breach deck if people want to watch that for whatever reason. But there's no reason to play a strictly worse version of the good deck. Kisis got kicked out of his own deck. Yeah, this is like a more linear, less backup plan version of Kisis. It's basically what this is trying to be. And it's very good at it. We've raised 4 aggro decks so far this morning. Got that Bernie banner up in the corner. If you live in New Hampshire, the primary's tomorrow. Feel the burn. If you live somewhere else in the United States, make sure you're registered to vote and know whether or not your state's an open or closed primary. Would Goyf be too strong for Pioneer? No, probably not. All right, mono red. This could be a tough one. They have a little bit of reach, a little bit faster on average, I'd bet. What is a closed primary? A closed primary means you need to declare Republican or Democrat in advance to get the Republican or Democrat ballot. An open primary means you just show up to your polling place and ask for whichever ballot you'd prefer to vote on. Unsure, Esper. I think the Kisis deck is pretty good against aggro, too. The loop in this deck is double Diligent Excavator Mox Amber. Are there states where you can vote in both parties' primaries? I don't believe so, but don't quote me on that. Theoretically, you could do that party bus, but like, for example, a lot of people who vote GOP, a lot of people are gonna vote GOP. Like, they think like voting for Bernie would be a spoiler vote, when like in reality voting for Bernie's like the best chance to beat Trump. So like, you know. Every vote matters. If you think your vote doesn't matter, you should go do it anyways. It takes a little bit of time. I don't care if you think your state is safe or deep red or mostly blue. Your down ticket ballot elections really matter. Yeah, I think the blue, red, and soul artifact deck is probably very reasonable.
You're making it difficult to work.
All right, so we're not quite deterministic yet here, but we could get there in a hurry, so let's go for it, because we're going to die pretty quick. So let's start with Witching Well, I think. We need another Diligent Excavator. We also have a ton of cards in our bin already, which is helpful. So second Diligent Excavator is deterministic. What Pioneer decks do you think should be tier 1 for a healthy Pioneer? Decks that aren't combo. I think combos should exist, but not be the best thing in the format. I think when we went through those moments where mid-range red was possibly the best thing in the format, I think that would be good for Pioneer. Cast Amber with Emry. Oh yeah, I guess that's true. That works. Gives me 3 extra cards, basically. Hey, Fatboy Wealthy. Thanks for the brand new tier 1 sub. I appreciate that. Welcome to Hoaglandia. Thanks for keeping me around. So, we're not deterministic yet because I'm currently only milling 2 cards for every 3 that I use. So I need to find another excavator so that way I can be milling more cards that I'm escaping. Yes. Yeah, this deck gets deterministic much faster in terms of linearly comboing people. It's very, very similar to Kisis or, okay, and now this is deterministic. So now every Mox cast mills 4 cards. It only takes 3 to escape. And then after we deck ourselves, we just flip the Thassa's Oracle into play and win the game. This deck is much easier to pilot than Kisis. The lines are a lot less tricky. What you're trying to figure out and do is way easier to program a computer to do. Double Emry, double Amber with Excavator is also deterministic, right? Is it? I haven't counted that. It might be. That sounds like it could be right. Think our opponent's having fun yet? It definitely feels like combo winter. I agree. Although we're heading towards spring. This is the type of deck where if you were playing it in paper, you would want to make sure to be courteous and bring a coloring book with for your opponent so they could have something to do while you play with yourself. We've not dropped a match. This is our 5th aggro match this set. I have an Etch-a-Sketch for that. Yeah, and again, just like all the other matches, I'm just going to board the same way. I'm going to cut the Fblthps and Emry and 2 Witching Wells. I'm going to bring in 4 pieces of spot removal and 3 sweepers and click done. All right, we're past 10:15 And it doesn't look like there was a ban list update. So I can only assume Pioneer has officially entered Combo Spring. Thanks for the 4 months, Marky. I appreciate that. Welcome back. I think until we have a change of pace in Pioneer, I'm going to be becoming a lot more selective about what decks I take, and I believe I'm going to push the price back up to $50 for the format. Just because I'd rather not play a ton of it. And if we're gonna play, I'd rather play better decks. In Sneaper Keeper. Year's Revenge. Thank you for the quarter viewer. I appreciate that. Welcome back. It's a good thing the opponent's computer probably has Solitaire installed so they can play with you. Right? Ooh. Now, the reason why I'm likely to play less Pioneer is because Pioneer has become what Modern already is. So, Standard, super reasonable right now. So, the solution will definitely be I will play more Standard because I've enjoyed a lot of Standard. Based on viewer numbers, Standard is the most popular format on the channel right now as well. It's not particularly close either. We're still going to do some Pioneer. Like, the good decks are reasonable. It's just playing only good decks means there's less content to make. Okay, so we'll kill them next turn. Was it good for you, opponent? It was good for me. I got there. Maybe they're gonna play Grafdigger's Cage. You never know. I think viewer counts for Pioneer are about the same as available on Arena. Honestly, I don't think it would be with the current format. I think at the start of Pioneer would have been more popular on Arena. But I think a lot of people who are here in Hoaglandia share a lot of my same feelings. It's one of the reasons why they watch here as opposed to other channels. And I think the current combo-focused Pioneer as a whole is a net negative for the format. Yeah, you can always find all of the upcoming decks that we're going to be playing later in this stream in the deck queue on my website. Always try to be really well organized around here so the information that people want is available to them. Alright, well that was the easiest 5-0 I've had in a really long time. If Wizards cares about Historic, this deck probably won't be legal for long. That being said, I think there's some question as to whether or not they care about Historic, so there's a chance that this just stays legal. But yeah, it's real obnoxious. I'd be hesitant to spend wild cards on this just because they play this stupid game where they don't ban things in Historic, they suspend them. So like, if you build this and they decide they care about Historic, you're just out your wild cards for months on end before you eventually get them back, which is really stupid. So, yeah. Alright, what are we doing? Let's roll on into some Standard, huh? We're gonna run back some Bant Lotus fields here to start. I'm gonna do a quick ad roll while I get set up to flip everything over, restart the client, all that jazz. Ooh, Mythic Wild Card. Alright, back in a few, folks. Thanks for hanging out. Some Standard when we return. Can you craft suspended cards? I have no idea. That's true. If you have Kisa's combo, you probably have most of the cards for that deck. So, like, it's probably not a